Okay, good evening, everyone. Hopefully everyone can hear me clearly. We're good.
Yes.
Thank you. And I want to welcome everyone to this 5-week course. It's called Judaism at Home. Some of you had been signed up originally to a different course called Biblical Secrets, which was the JLI course that originally they had slated at the beginning of the year in the pre-corona days, slated to do at this time of the year. They made a decision based on the way the course is set up and just many of the logistics and so on and so forth to postpone that course. They're going to come back to it and to use this as a kind of a in-between course, in the meantime course called Judaism at Home, which is of course very timely because many of us are spending a lot more time at home. Obviously, we also don't have right now synagogues to go to celebrate and practice. So Judaism is much more about the home. And so this is a 5-week course on some insights into what Judaism has to say about Judaism at home, the traditions, the rituals, the customs, the laws, and of course, with anything that we do at Chabad, the mystical meaning behind many things. Why? What does it mean, and how is it relevant to us today? I want to begin with just saying, first of all, that of all the different religions and all the different isms out there, I believe that Judaism is best suited for dealing with a quarantine and dealing with an isolation, dealing with being in your home, because Judaism is a religion where the main focus was always not the synagogue, but always the home. The center of Jewish life was always the home. A synagogue was a place that we gathered, but it was not necessarily the center of Jewish life. The center of Jewish life was always understood to be the home. And it is only really recently in America in the last 100 years where a lot of Judaism became focused on the synagogue and synagogue life. But throughout our history, it was always secondary to the home. And Judaism understood that if we want to have a future, we have to make sure that our children are being raised in an environment where day in and day out, they are taking in the principles, the values, the traditions, the way of life. And so Judaism has always made the home the focal point. So this really, the concept of, can you be Jewish without a synagogue? Can you be Jewish in a quarantine where you have to stay at home? The answer is absolutely yes, because the majority of Jewish life is about the home. And the synagogue was always secondary. In fact, the synagogue was always seen as as something that was not required as much as by law, as much as Jewish life at home. Just to give a practical example, what I mean by that, the mikvah generally was always understood to be something that had to do with family life between a man and a woman, between a husband and a wife. And the Jewish law says, this is an interesting tidbit, Jewish trivia, that if a community only has enough money to either build a mikvah or build a synagogue, mikvah comes first. And the reason is because mikvah is home life. Mikvah is about family life. It's about husband and wife and about the home. Synagogue is secondary to that. So just it's interesting to note, even if you have to sell a Torah scroll to pay for a mikvah, Jewish law says you can do that. And again, a Torah scroll, I mean, what can be more important than a Torah scroll? But yet Jewish home life is more important. So, and that's what the mikvah symbolizes, Jewish home, the love in the home, family life. So the Jewish home is very important. And of course, we can definitely continue practicing. There are certain things we can't do. We can't have a minyan, as we said, we can't have a congregation in the same way, and certain prayers that we can't do, but obviously Jewish life can flourish in the home, as it has been in my home, and I'm sure in your homes, in each in our own way. So this is this course is going to cover many different aspects of Jewish life at home. And today we're going to deal with, what does Jewish life at home look like in the morning? What does it look like in the morning? Believe it or not, even before BC, before coffee. What does Jewish life look like from the first moments of the day, the first moments of the day? What does Jewish life look like? How does it practice? How do we do Jewish life in the home? And we're going to start again with dealing with the morning. What does Jewish life look like in the morning? And the concept, of course, is we want to infuse the morning with meaning, inspiration, and spiritual connection. And so we're going to talk about that. A lot of people struggle with the mornings. Some people are not morning people. Some people are. Some people, many people are not. I came across here a very nice little prayer for the morning. This is a coffee prayer. Just a side note here. It says the famous prayer. Something goes like this. It says, "Give me the coffee to accept the things I cannot change, the coffee to change the things that I can, and the coffee to know the difference." So that is the coffee prayer in the morning. But that is the thing. So we're going to deal with the morning and deal with what Judaism has to say for what we're supposed to do in the morning. Okay. First thing, of course, that we do in the morning is hopefully, and today we're very thankful. We don't take it for granted, of course, and especially with the viruses going around. The first thing we want to do is wake up. The first thing we do is wake up. Before we say any prayers, before we do anything, we've got to talk about waking up, because you can't say any prayers. We'll talk about the Moda Ani. And I think all of you should have received an email with a PDF page. So you might refer to that as we go. You may have printed that out. You may refer to that. But before we even talk about a Moda Ani or any morning prayers, you can't do that until you wake up. So we got to talk about the Jewish way to wake up. So I'm going to read to you what the Jewish Code of Law says about waking up. It says in the Shulchan Aruch, then it says in Jewish Code of Law, and this is right at the beginning, very apropos, beginning of Jewish Code of Law, it says, "Strengthen yourself like a lion to rise in the morning to serve your Creator. You should awaken the morning." Very interesting phrase. You should wake the morning up. Not the morning should wake you up. You should wake the morning up. You should awaken the morning. As soon as you wake up from sleep, rise eagerly to the service of your Creator. Okay, so that's just the Jewish attitude to waking up. The Jewish attitude to waking up, you're hearing things like rise up like a lion, so with great energy to serve, and you should awaken the morning. In other words, what this means, and just to understand, it's setting a tone. There are two ways to look at your life. Okay, this is very foundational, very fundamental. This is the roots of your day. You can look at life as, I am here because I'm just here by accident, evolution. I just happen to be here, or I don't even put thought into the fact I'm here. I just take it for granted. I'm just here. I woke up again and I'm here. And I'm here. I'm going to eat. I'm going to sleep. I'm going to do what I got to do and get through the day. That is one way. That's one path. There is another path that says there's a creator. And there's a creator that's involved intimately with life here in this world. And there's a creator that made a conscious decision that I should be here today, that I should be alive in the world today, because I specifically have a purpose and a mission that I have to fulfill here today. Those are very, very different, diverging, and very diametrically opposed ways to wake up in the morning and to live life. Am I living life just because I just happen to be here and I'm just existing and surviving? Or do I believe that there's a creator that created this world, created me, made a decision and made my soul, put me here in this world, and has given me specific talents, capacities, aptitudes, abilities, whatever it may be, and a mission here in this world, and has given me this, has made it a conscious decision for me to be here today. I'm not here by accident. What the Shulchan Aruch is saying is that if you believe that you've got a specific mission today, not in general in life, that God has chosen to give you life today, because not everyone gets life today, as we can see all around us. Unfortunately, many times, not everyone gets another day. We've been given another day. And if we've been given another day, it's because we have a purpose, something we can do today, something we can contribute to the world, something we can make a difference in the world today. When we approach that, when we realize that, so there's a sense of, I got to get up, got to get going. I can't waste any time. This day is critical. This day is crucial. In other words, and we'll speak about this more later, it's not just about my lifetime. Today is an entire lifetime. Today is a gift that I've been given to do something with today. There's a mission for today. So that's why the Shulchan Aruch says there has to be a sense of a sense of passion and a sense of excitement and a sense of, if you've got a really important meeting one morning, you got a flight to catch, you can't press snooze 10 times. You got to get up, you got to get going. Today's a big day. If there was, just recently, I remember, not too long ago, some of you may have joined us at my daughter's wedding. I remember the morning I woke up, the morning of the wedding, right? You wake up on the morning of your child's wedding. It's like, there's things to do. You got to get up. It's a big day. This is a huge day. So the Shulchan Aruch, the Jewish Code of Law, wants us to see each day to the best of our ability as a day that's a gift specifically for that you've been given with a mission, with a sense of purpose. And so that's why it says you got to wake up with that, rise up like a lion, awake in the morning. Don't wake up just because you finished sleeping. You can wake up because I'm done sleeping, or you wake up with a sense of purpose, with a sense of mission, with a sense of a calling. I've got a calling, I've got a purpose. There's people I can help today. There's people who need me. There's things I can do. I need to study, I need to pray, I need to help people, I need to do this, things that the world needs me today. And that's why God has put me here in this world today. So it's that sense of calling, and that's why the Jewish Code of Law begins with that. So if we talk about how does Judaism want us to begin our day, before we even talk about the fact that, yes, there's a prayer, which we'll get to soon, the Moda Ani prayer, which we'll talk about in a few moments. Before that, it's just the whole attitude of waking up and going to sleep the night before with that thought that the day is a gift. It's purposeful. God made a decision that I should be here today because I have a purpose to fulfill. I've got a mission, and I'm waking up to that mission. Imagine a soldier in an army. Just like he's got a job, he's got something to do, and whatever it is, 5 a.m., 6 a.m., time to get up. I mean, imagine this general walks in and it's 11 a.m. and he's still sleeping in bed. Like, whoa, you're going to get court-martialed. Get up. You got a job to do. You're in the army here. We need you. We're counting. The country's counting on you. So that's the sense that it says we should wake up to, and it's interesting that, when we think about mental and emotional health, this concept that we've got a sense of purpose and our life is meaningful is very, very, very important. So, and we'll talk about other things that are very important, of course, for our emotional well-being, but that is, of course, one of them. Okay, so that is one concept. The next concept, when a person wakes up in the morning, is a sense of a sense of gratitude. Is a sense of gratitude, and that sense of gratitude, we wake up in the morning and we sense that we are thankful to be here, is reflected in that prayer. It was in the PDF called the Moda Ani prayer. It begins, the very first word is modeh, which means thank you. We begin our day with that word. Those are key words to start your day with those words. You don't even know why you're saying it at the beginning. It's like, thank you. Details to follow. It's like I've said many times before about I was once at a wedding, and I was officiating at the wedding, and they were doing some of the groom's friends and some of the adult males were giving a toast to and giving blessings, sharing blessings with the groom. And one of the fathers, I don't know if it was the father of the groom or the father of the bride, said, I just want to say to you that I wake up every day and I look at my wife, who've been married for 40 years, and the first 3 words out of my mouth is, I am sorry. He says, I don't even know why I'm sorry, but I know I'll be sorry about something. So I'm starting off right away with, I am sorry. So Judaism says a slightly different version of that is, thank you. I don't even know what I have to be thankful for yet, but just my day starts with the word thank you. Just thank you. Thank you, and we'll figure out what to be thankful for soon. So there's a sense of gratitude. And again, going back to emotional well-being, if you can wake up every day feeling a sense of purpose, I'm needed, I have a purpose, I have a mission, and a sense of gratitude, both of those are critical to our emotional well-being, mental and emotional well-being. If you can feel every day that sense of gratitude and that sense of purpose, that is critical to a person feeling positive. So if you take a look at your prayer on the PDF, you'll see the Moda Ani prayer. You can see it both in the Hebrew and the English. Of course, Hebrew works a little different than Hebrew. Then the English works a little different than the Hebrew. So it wouldn't make sense to say in English, thank you, to you, Hashem. We say, I thank you. It's hard to translate in the English. But the concept of Moda, in Hebrew, we say Moda, which is the first word, which is first is thank you, then is the I. So the I comes after the thank you. First is the thank you, then we acknowledge we say the word I. And there's a few other things in this prayer. Just, the prayer is, I offer thanks to you in front of you, Lord our God, King of the universe, that you have returned my soul to me with mercy. Great is your faithfulness. I'm not sure if I'm translating exactly. I'm just reading the Hebrew and translating. I don't know if I don't have that PDF in front of me, but I figure that's pretty close to the translation you've got. Now, some other points to reflect on this prayer. And again, this prayer should be done while we're still in bed, if possible. So it's something you want to memorize, because you don't want to be trying to holding up papers and prayer books up in your bed. If you can, you try to memorize this prayer. You could do it in the English, you could do it in the Hebrew. The Hebrew is very, very powerful. It's not a very long prayer to memorize, but it's a prayer in which we do while we're still in bed. After we've awoken, we say, thank you, God, for giving me this day and for returning my soul to me. A few reflections on this prayer. First of all, this prayer is said before we wash our hands and before we brush our teeth, before we take care of any personal hygiene in the morning. Now, generally speaking, you're not allowed to, in Jewish law, do any other prayers until you wash up. Until you wash your hands, your face, brush your teeth. You gotta wash up in the morning. Everyone knows. Imagine if you had to go to an important meeting, and you would brush your teeth first, I would hope, right? You would wash up, you'd get prepared. So if you're gonna go talk to God, it's only respectful that you take care of some hygiene, take care of yourself, and brush your teeth, and then go speak to God. This is the only prayer that you are legally, by Jewish law, allowed to say without doing any of those things. We do it before that. And it's very interesting. The simple reason is how many times is the name of God mentioned in this prayer? When you look at the prayer, how many times does it say the name of God? Okay, and the answer is none. It doesn't say. God's name's not in there. And so we are told the reason for that is because we haven't brushed our teeth, because we haven't washed our hands, because we haven't washed our face, we don't utter the name of God. So the reason why we're allowed to say this prayer, one can argue, is because God's name is not in there. But in the Kabbalah, it says something very interesting. In the Kabbalah, it says this prayer reflects such a deep sentiment from such a deep place in the soul that is beyond the day. It's before the day starts. It transcends everything, that it comes from a place in our soul that cannot become impure, that cannot become contaminated, that can't be dirtied, so to speak. Nothing contaminates it. It breaks through everything. It comes from too deep a place for us to be concerned about how it's going to be packaged and what it looks like, and if our hands have been washed, and if we brush our teeth. It comes from a much, much deeper, more raw, primal place in our soul. And so this is a prayer that's so deep that it cannot be contaminated. Nothing. Another prayer, you're not pure yet. You're not cleansed yet. You have to be cleansed. You have to be pure. With this prayer, we say it's so deep. It's so spiritual. It reaches such a deep place that it doesn't have to have that way. It doesn't have to be that way. There is another concept over here as well, that we're saying, I thank you, lefanecha, in front of you, God, that we're not just being thankful, but we're being thankful to a specific being. We're saying thank you to God, not just saying, sometimes we say thank you. This is, I'm thanking you. It's a very, very, very personal, and we're thanking God. Another thing interesting, that God here is referred to as a king. And many prayers he is, but not all prayers. And one of the reasons why we refer to God as a king here is because when you think about a king is a ruler of a country, which means there is law and order. And there also means that the king is in control. And what we're trying to connote and remind ourselves of, and what we're trying to think about here, is that, again, my being here today isn't an accident. It isn't just, I just happened to be here because I didn't die. I'm alive because I didn't die. No, God's a king. A king rules. A king is in charge. A king is in control. He's made a decision for you to be here today. And that's a decision you're thanking God for. And again, it goes back to our earlier realization that my life today, as God has chosen for me to be here today. So that's another very important thing. And also, it's interesting, we talk about nishmati. Nishmati in English means my soul, my personal soul. So in this prayer, also saying, recognizing not that God has just decided that 3 billion people should come back to this world today. No, God has made a decision that nishmati, me specifically, with my unique character, my unique strengths, weaknesses, character traits, capacities, opportunities, whatever it may be, me specifically, nishmati, it's a very powerful word, my soul, my specific soul. God has decided to put me back here in this world. So this prayer is chock-block full of meaning on every level. It sets a tone for the day. Again, a tone of gratitude, a tone of meaning and purpose, a tone of personal meaning and personal mission and purpose, that I've been given my soul. It's been given to me for this day. I have a specific day here. And it's interesting that according to Jewish tradition, we're supposed to see each day like a mini life. So in other words, we, and we'll get to this soon as well, later in the class, but there is a concept that when we go to sleep at night, we see that as a kind of a temporary death, or a small miniature death in a sense. Waking up in the morning is like being born again. And we have a day that's a lifetime. So we don't have the attitude of, today was just a kind of a wasted day. There's no such thing as a wasted day. A day is a lifetime. A day is a gift. And ask anyone, God forbid, who's suffering and very, very sick, and what the value of a day is. Someone with a terminal illness, what is the value of a day? A day is you can't waste a day. It's fresh. Every day is precious. You know, there's an old Hasidic teaching from the Chafetz Chaim, one of the great masters and teachers of the past generation. He said, life is like a postcard. I've shared this before. He says, why is life like a postcard? So you ever notice that, you know, when I tell that to my children, they ask me, what is a postcard? But I think all of us here, I don't have to explain what a postcard is here. So I say, life is like a postcard. When you begin writing a postcard, you begin writing in, you know, normal size letters. And then very soon you realize you're running out of space. So what do? You start to write a little smaller, and then a little smaller. And then you get to a point where you're writing around the edges. You know, you're kind of using all the words. And life is like that. When you're young, you think you've got all the time in the world. What's another day? What's another year? What's another month? But as you get older, wiser, but you start to realize, and you begin to think about your mortality a little bit, and you realize that life is not forever. Life is precious, and every day counts. And that's what the Modani prayer wants us to remember. It's a gift. You've been given this gift. Get up, get out of bed, rise up, be passionate, live life to your fullest, the best you can. Just interesting to note, side note here, and I'll take a little break after this for any questions, and I'll take a sip of water. You can look this up, but supposedly there are some neurological studies about certain individuals that would struggle with fainting when they would wake up in the morning. And what turned out that they were kind of getting out of bed too fast. I know that sounds like a problem most of us don't have, but when they were getting out of bed, I guess the way the blood was rushing from, changing and everything, they would feel faint. And so the neurologist told many of these patients that they should sit up and get up slowly and count to 10 seconds, and count to 10 seconds and then get out of bed. If you count how many letters there are in the Moda'ani in the Hebrew, if you look on your page, you'll see, if you count them, I believe it's 10 words. 12 words. It's 12 words, 12 seconds it's supposed to be. 12, it's a 12-second rule. So it's 12 seconds that a person is supposed to wait before they jump up. Believe that's what the study said. So there is a concept of pause, and that's the concept here. Pause for a moment. Don't just jump up. Pause, acknowledge, say thank you, acknowledge the gift you've been given, realize that the day has a sense of mission and purpose, and then you get your day started. So if anyone has any questions, I don't have anyone on mute. So if you want to unmute yourself, if you have any questions, comments, you may. If you don't worry. And we'll go on to the next part of the next part of the class.
Hi, it's Alan. How do you count 12? No, that's 4. On these 3 is 7. Did you leave Anecha also?
No. Each word is a word. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Oh, each word, not each letter. Okay.
No. Each word. 12 words. 12 words.
Right,
I believe if you go on the internet, Google this tonight, like 12 seconds in the morning, neurology, fainting. There's some study that speaks about this, and I've seen it before many years ago. I haven't seen it recently, but a study that says that you should count to 12 or 12, wait 12 seconds before you jump out of bed. It's only for some people that get dizzy in the morning or get like this fainting or dizziness. And that's just an interesting side note. I'm not saying that's the reason God said to do this prayer. Just many times you see certain things in the Torah and you end up finding out some interesting side benefits, so to speak, that you are associated with these things.
Rabbi, I have a question.
Sure.
The first thing you said was when you wake up, the code of law, strengthen like a lion. Can you just repeat that?
Yes, I can. It's the wording is as follows. Strengthen yourself like a lion. Okay. Strengthen yourself like a lion.
Okay.
To rise in the morning to serve your creator.
Okay.
And then it continues. It says, you should awaken the morning, which is a very interesting wording. In other words, you should not wait for the morning to wake you up. You're ready to go. You're waking the morning up. You're waking the day up, which is also an allusion to the fact that one should try to get up early according to Jewish law. I know for some morning people, that isn't always easy, and early is a relative word. In my house right now, I've got a lot of teenagers. During the week, they've got Zoom classes and everything right now, but there's, first of all, I tell everyone we're breaking the law because you're not, I don't know what the law is now, but you're not supposed to have more than 10 people congregate. There's 12 of us in our house right now. But on Shabbat, my teenagers, they wake up at about 2 o'clock in the afternoon. So when you say early, early is a relative word, I guess, you know, relative to 2 o'clock in the afternoon. But it says you should awaken in the morning. And then, which is the beginning, again, this is the beginning, the very beginning of the Jewish code of law. There was once, just interestingly, there was once one of the great rabbis was very, very particular about waking up very early in the morning. So his students asked him, you know, you seem to be really focused on that. And he says, listen, when I come up to heaven and I have to do an accounting of whether or not I observed Jewish tradition properly, they're going to start on the first page. Right, and the first page, the first thing it says is "wake up like a lion," wake up early in the morning. He says, if I don't do that right, it's not you know, I'm not going to be off to a good start. So, want to at least start with that. But that's the concept is, again, it's all based on a sense of knowing that your day has meaning, your day has purpose, you're needed. God put you here. You've got a calling, and if that's the case, then you've got to get up with that sense of passion, that sense of urgency, and sense of excitement and joy. Okay. So let's move on a little bit. One of the next things that the Shulchan Aruch talks about, the Jewish Code of Law, is it does talk about washing our hands in the morning. There is a ritual hand washing that's done in the morning. This is not necessarily you're washing your hands with soap, which of course is very important to do as well. And of course, hygiene is critical, especially as we know today. We know how important that is, especially when there's a virus and bacteria around, how important hand washing is. But this is a ritual washing that Jewish people have done for thousands of years, first thing in the morning. I'll talk about how it's done first, and then we'll talk about the meaning behind it. So the way it's done is that you should have a cup of water. The cup of water is lifted up. You pour it over your right hand, and then over your left hand, then over your right hand, then over your left hand, then over your right hand, and then over your left hand. So it alternates between right and left 3 times. If you're a lefty, if you're left-handed, do we have any lefties in our group here? Okay, wow, it's almost majority lefties here tonight. That's strange. Okay, so if you're left-handed, then actually the left hand gets washed first. Okay, now it's interesting, just a side note, there's a lot of things in Judaism which we'll see other examples here tonight, where there's a thing about right and left and which one to do first. Many times we say do the right first, even if you're left-handed, the right goes first. There are some areas, and again, knowing which one's which in Judaism is a little complicated, but there are some things where we say when the Shulchan Aruch says right hand, it means your stronger hand, your more dominant hand, and that's different for different people. If you're righty, it's your right hand. If you're lefty, your left hand. So in this case, when it comes to ritual hand washing, and by the way, this is the same kind of ritual hand washing that a Kohen does before he does the priestly blessing, that a priest does before the priestly blessing. It is, if you're righty, right hand gets poured on water first. If you're left hand, the water goes on the left hand first, and again, alternating 3 times. This is different than washing for bread. When you wash for bread, you wash the right hand 3 times and then the left hand 3 times. Some people do 2 times, 3 times, but it's not alternating. It's the same hand done twice or 3 times. Here it's alternating. So it's a little bit different the way it's done. To talk about why it's done alternating is, I could address that another time, as it's a little bit deep, it's a little bit mystical in nature and has to do with the impurity in the hands. I want to talk about other aspects of what the meaning of this is. Number one is that when the priests used to go to do the service in the temple, in temple times, in Jerusalem, and before that in the tabernacle in the wilderness, the Jewish law prescribed that they wash their hands before they began the service as a sign of respect. Remember, they're going to serve a king. When you're going to go serve a king, you don't just come in from the street and just start serving. You wash your hands. It's a sign of respect. And what the Jewish code of law wants us to know, or what Judaism wants us to think about, is the fact that when we wake up in the morning, again, we're not just here by accident. We're here, we are here, we have a calling. We have a serve. Each of us is a Kohen, in a sense. Each of us is a priest. Each of us is here serving in God's temple. What's God's temple? The world. And we're here to serve. We're here to make a difference. We have a calling. And to remind us that we're like that priest with a calling, that we have a sense of a service that we're here to do. We're here to serve. We do this hand washing in the morning. It's a very powerful ritual, again, all along the same theme. Life has purpose. Life has meaning. We are here to serve. We are here to make a difference. So we wash our hands. We think about, yes, the priest used to do this in the temple many, many years ago. And as such, I am doing the same thing now because I'm also a Kohen. I've got a job. I serve. I'm not just here to eat, sleep, and survive. I'm not just a biological being that's here by accident because evolution has left me here. I'm here because I've been put here. My life has a purpose and my life has meaning. So that is another very important aspect. Another reason for hand washing in the morning is because, as I mentioned earlier, Jewish law says sleep is considered 1/60th of death. Thank God, not more than that, but it's considered 1/60. In other words, when a person is asleep, they're not really fully cognizant. Their capacities aren't fully functioning. Their brain isn't functioning fully. Their breathing is different when they're asleep. It's a miniature death. And according to Kabbalah, what's happening during sleep is the soul, or part of our soul, ascends on high. And that's why we can receive some very interesting visions in sleep. A lot of prophets receive their prophecies in their sleep. People talk about seeing their loved ones and so on and so forth in their sleep. Very interesting. In Judaism, we talk about the meaning of dreams. Of course, if you read biblical accounts, there are many interesting stories about dreams, from the dreams of Joseph, right, and his brothers. Remember, he has dreams, the dreams of Pharaoh that are interpreted. So Judaism says dreams have meaning. Knowing what that meaning is not a simple thing. You need to be you need to have some kind of spiritual insight. You need to have some kind of gifted insight. That's why we tell most people that when it comes to your dreams, not to put too much meaning to them, because we have no idea how to interpret them. And every dream has what we call mishagas in it, crazy stuff. I don't know if you know, dreams can be crazy. They don't have meaning. So we don't, the average layperson, and myself included, we don't spend a lot of time putting too much into dreams, but dreams have some meaning. There's something in them. And that's, a lot of it is to do with the fact that part of the soul is ascending on high. So as sleep is 1/60th of death, we see that in the physical function of the body. Again, part of the soul leaves the body. So when we know that death is considered something that is spiritually impure, we celebrate life. So to represent the idea that we have new life, we've kind of washing away this death of sleep in a sense. So we do a hand washing. Interesting also that hands, what do hands represent? Hands represent action. And Judaism teaches that there are many different parts to being a good person. Your thoughts, your feelings, your intentions, your feelings, and your actions. Of all those things, what is the most important when it comes to being pure and good? Of all of those, Judaism says your actions. You should work on your intentions. There's no question you should work on your feelings. But the priority always is actions, because what counts in the end as far as how other people are going to be impacted is your actions, right? When you give money to a poor person, the impact you're having on that poor person is the same no matter what your intentions are. Someone used to say, when you give a homeless man bread to eat, and let's say you do it for the wrong reasons, you're doing it because you want people to know that you're doing it for the honor, that bread tastes the same to the starving man. So what's important in life is the greatest priority is our actions, our deeds. Judaism is an action-based religion. It says what counts in the end is your actions. And it works like that in so many aspects of life. I always say, in a business, if you tell your boss, I had all the intentions to come to work today. I really was feeling it in my heart, but I just decided I just didn't. Your boss is going to say, that's very sweet, very nice, love your intentions, but I need action. I need something that's going to make an impact. So this is the concept that we're dealing with over here, is the concept of actions, that we wash our hands in the morning, and the hand washing reminds us of actions. Interesting, one of the other teachings it talks about is the concept of the washing of the hands in the morning represent washing away the worries, because one of the first things that a lot of people deal with in the morning is you wake up and your mind begins to race. So what does your mind begin to race about? All the problems in your life, whether it's financial issues and relationship issues and this issues and that issues, and everyone's got issues. Everyone's got things they're worried about. And when you wake up in the morning and you remember, 1 second, there's a God, and I don't run the world. I got to do my best, but I don't run the world. God runs the world, and it's up to him. And therefore, Judaism doesn't want us to worry. It wants us to be proactive, not to wait, be proactive and do our part. But Judaism is anti-worrying. It says worrying is not going to help. It's not going to make anything better. Staying calm, positive, and optimistic, and trusting God is so. Washing the hands is also a symbolic act of washing away the worries. In the morning, we want to lead our day as much as possible worry-free, and learning how to celebrate vulnerability, which is something I've spoken about many times before, and especially during this pandemic, where a lot of people have felt very vulnerable and very unsettled because many of the things they usually relied on and thought they could really trust have been exposed to be not necessarily something we can always trust. And there are things where we are very vulnerable. And if we can learn to trust, we can celebrate vulnerability. We can be more worry-free, which of course is not easy, but it's something that we try to do in the morning. So again, that's the hand washing, all of those reasons that we discussed. There is another concept and another step in the morning, and that is most of us in the morning get dressed. Even though today you don't have to, many of us are not going out anywhere, so we don't have to dress up in a suit and tie. And even for Zoom meetings, you only have to dress the top half of your body. I'm told now you don't have to dress the bottom half of your body. There's a lot of stores now selling Zoom outfits, which is only the top half, because you don't, no one sees the rest. So whatever it may be, but you do have to get dressed. So Judaism has some interesting laws about getting dressed. Now you would say, getting dressed, why would Judaism is a religion, it's about spirituality. What's it talking about getting dressed? And the answer to that is that Judaism is like, first of all, it's like having a Jewish mother. It has an opinion about everything, and there's input about everything. But specifically because the whole concept really of Judaism is about permeating and elevating our mundane lives. That our day-to-day mundane lives should be lived in an elevated way, in a more spiritual way, in a more refined way. So Judaism does talk about how you should dress, as an example. And generally speaking, dressing should be done in a modest way. But the most interesting thing about it is that, which is just an interesting fact, is that Judaism says that when you're getting dressed, you sometimes have to choose between right and left, because you've got two arms and you've got two legs. And you got to decide which one goes in first, and which shoe goes on first, and which hand goes in where first. So the answer to this is right, even if you're a lefty, by the way. And this is an example where even if you're left-handed, you put the right hand into your shirt sleeve first. The question is why? What's the meaning? So it's actually mystical in nature. It says that right and left represent two vectors of God's spiritual energies. And generally speaking, right is associated with kindness and left with discipline. and respect, though love and respect, kindness, discipline, 2 energies. And even though every relationship needs a healthy balance of both, you need to have, let's say, between a parent and a child. If a child doesn't have love with the parents, that's not going to work. And if there's no respect, it can't work. Every relationship needs love and respect. But the question is, what should be the first or the overriding energy? What should be the more dominant energy? The kindness. So yes, there is a need for discipline. There is a need for respect. There's a need for all of those things. That's called gevura. We call it gevura. But the general tone should be more dominant on the right side. So right goes first. It's very interesting that Judaism also says if you don't know which way to go, and you can either make a right turn or a left turn. This is, I guess, pre-GPS days. But if you don't know, if you're just somewhere and you don't know where to go, Jesus says, go to the right. Go to the right. Always go towards the right. Something good will happen. So in case you're ever lost somewhere and you're figuring out which way should I go, Judaism says go with the right. Right is associated with kindness, but it has to do with also the way we get dressed. Just an interesting note that Judaism says, some of us probably don't even realize or know what we do because we don't think about it. But Judaism does talk about that. It's a very interesting side note. The next thing that's done in the morning, and again, this is all pre-coffee, believe it or not, before the coffee, we say a prayer, which is on your sheets. It's on your PDF. It's called the Asher Yatzar prayer. Asher Yatzar is a prayer in which we thank God for the functioning of our body. And again, when I say afterwards, we at this point, just to go through the order, we've woken up like the lion with a sense of purpose. We've said the Moda Ani. We've washed up. We've washed our hands. We've washed up. We've gotten dressed. Right, so we're now ready to make more prayers because we shouldn't be doing that before we're ready to walk in front of the king and talk to God. So we've brushed our teeth, we've washed up, we've showered, we've done whatever we got to do. We're ready for our day. We're ready to begin. And now we begin. The first prayer after that is the prayer Asher Yatzar. I'm not going to get into all the prayers in the morning tonight, but I want to mention 1 or 2 things about the Asher Yatzar. Asher Yatzar is a prayer. It's an interesting prayer. It basically thanks God for the functioning of our physical body. It says the physical body is an amazing miracle. And it is. Ask any scientist, ask any doctor, the human body is an amazing, amazing miracle. Every part of it is. It's a miracle. It's a handiwork of God. Anyone who's watched a child be born who understands the inner workings of the digestive system, of the heart, of the lungs, and how it all works. I mean, it's just to see and how delicate it is, and how the imbalance and everything is so important, and so on and so forth. It's a blessing in which we thank God for the workings of the body. It's something that's to recognize that the physical body is important. Judaism is a religion that says it's not about negating or forgetting about your physical body. Your physical body is a gift from God. It's not the physical body is mundane and we're only interested in the spirit and the soul. Judaism says your body is a gift. It has been given to you by God. It's not something to be taken for granted. You should take care of it. Sometimes people say, well, it's my body. I can do whatever I want with it. Judaism actually says it's not. It's been given to you on loan. It's God's. And you need to, it's like you borrowed something from someone, you protect it, you take care of it. By the way, that's the underlying reason behind not doing tattoos and putting permanent markings of the body of that nature, is because it's not yours. And you shouldn't be doing something in any way to harm it or to make that kind of a permanent damage to the body. So it's a recognition of the body. It's interesting we do this right away in the morning. And it's interesting on that note of the body that the Rambam says also, Maimonides writes in his laws, that a Jew should make sure that every morning they do exercise, according to Jewish law. So this is not just your doctor talking. Rambam was a doctor, but just your doctor talking. Maimonides says, because the Torah says you need to protect your body, so it means you have to be careful with what you eat. And according to Jewish law, you have to exercise. Someone who does not take care of their physical health is breaking Jewish law. It's not just a matter of they're not taking care of their health and it's not good, it's not responsible, and they're not being responsible to their family and their loved ones. Judaism says that you have a responsibility to God. And part of what God wants from you every day is God wants you to take care of your body, take care of your physical health, listen to your doctor, exercise, Rambam says exercise should be part of your daily activity, should be something you do daily. By the way, interesting to note, and I didn't have a chance to write this up and put, so I could share it with you, but according to the Rambam, Maimonides, if you take the Hebrew word for health, briut is the Hebrew word for health. If you hear someone sneeze in Israel, sometimes you'll hear people respond to the sneeze, they'll say la briut. Briut means health. La briut means to health. Health. If you take the word briut in Hebrew, it's an abbreviation, says Maimonides. This is his abbreviation for the word, for the 3 keys to health, which is, Rambam says, you've got the 3 keys to health are eat less. Okay, this is 800 years ago. Eat less, move more, which means more exercise, and get rid of anger from your life. 3 things. It says, no, you got to eat less, move around more, and be less angry. He says, if you do those 3 things, you'll be much more healthy. So that's from the Maimonides, one of the teachings of Maimonides. Okay, we're going to take, I'm going to 2-3 more minutes, and then we'll take questions. There are a series of blessings. Some of them are on your papers there, and I want to mention some of them very, very quickly. There is the morning blessing that we make in the morning, thanking the rooster thanking God for giving the rooster the understanding between day and night. Simply put, in the old days, if you wanted to wake up, you didn't have an alarm clock, you didn't have your cell phone to wake you up, you couldn't tell Siri, wake me up in this time. You relied on your rooster, and so it was something they thanked God for. But it has deeper meaning, which is why we continue to say it today. The word sechvi, which is the word that's in Hebrew means rooster, also is a word that's used in some instances in Hebrew to mean heart. And we're thanking God for giving us the heart to understand between day and night. What's day and night? Day is good, night is evil, so to speak, symbolically, right? Darkness and light. And the truth of the matter is, the human being, God gave us an intrinsic knowledge, even without great education. We sense when something is evil. We sense when something is not right. We sense when something is dishonest or immoral. We can sense that. We thank God for giving us that intuition, because it's a wonderful gift, the gift of intuition to know, you know what, this is bad, stay away from this. This is good, this is something I should connect myself with. Also, another very interesting idea, when does the rooster crow? When it's light, when it's already light? And the answer is no, just before it gets light. That's the wisdom of the rooster. Once it's light, everyone knows it's the day. It's the ability that when it's still dark and it's about to become light, to know that the light is coming. And the meaning behind that is that as in life, sometimes we find ourselves in a dark place and we don't see light at the end of the tunnel. We're like, I don't see the light. But to have the faith and to have the vision to know that there will be light and not to get lost, not to lose your cool. Like Warren Buffett talks about investments, and he uses the example, he always quotes Wayne Gretzky, that I don't skate to where the puck is, I skate to where the puck is going. The concept of looking ahead, having vision, not getting stuck in the here and now. Here and now, it's panic. Everyone's selling their stocks, and the economy's never going to get good. And we're all going to be sick forever, and it's all going to be evil. It's all going to be bad forever. We can get very stuck in the emotions of the moment. Sechli means we're looking ahead. We're not just reacting to now. We see ahead. It also speaks of Judaism's eternal optimism, our eternal faith that there's going to be a brighter tomorrow. Things will get good. We're going to survive. The Jewish people will rebuild. We are going to, and this is what kept our people going for thousands of years. During the darkest times of our history, Jewish people never stopped having faith about a tomorrow, about the hope, about the future, about the possibilities. That's the whole concept of the Messiah, of the Mashiach. There's a better future ahead of us. There's something brighter ahead of us. And again, once that happens, everyone knows it's happened. Right? It's not hard. It's to be the rooster, the one when it's still dark that knows the light is coming. That already takes vision, and that's what we thank God for giving us that vision. Okay, I'm going to skip some of the other prayers because I really do want to conclude. Want to mention that there is also the blessing of the Torah that we make every single day. We thank God for giving us the Torah. It's a very important blessing. Well, first of all, we're saying, God, thank you for giving us a sense of meaning, a sense of purpose. Thank you for giving us guidance, insight into life. When a human being without knowledge, without information, really has nothing in their life. So The greatest gift is the knowledge. The greatest gift is the insight, and in this case, God's insight. And we thank God for this as something we're grateful for. It's also very important because we're not allowed to study Torah according to Jewish law without first making this blessing every day. We have to make this blessing, and only then we can study. And the reason for this is because you can fall into the trap, possibly, of studying Torah and enjoying it intellectually and enjoying the intellectual wisdom, but forgetting that it's divine, it's holy. There is a divinity to it. There is a holiness, a sanctity to it. And that's very, very important, that we're not just dealing with another subject. It's not, okay, geography, algebra, Torah study. It is different. It's a unique genre. It's a unique contribution of knowledge. It's revelation. It comes from above. It's divine. It's holy. It has a certain sanctity to it, right? I usually don't see a teacher parade around the room with a book on geography, and everyone stands up and kisses the book. And right, Torah there's a sanctity to it, and to remind us of the sanctity, and therefore the respect and the appreciation, the sensitivity we should have with it, we make a blessing saying, thank you, God, for giving us the Torah. You're the one who gave us this Torah. It's a gift that you've given us, and so on and so forth. That's very, very important. And interesting that right after that, after we make the morning blessing of the Torah, we read two sections of the Torah, one from the written law, one from the oral law. From the written law, we read, and the reason for this is because we want to make sure that right after we study, right after we make the blessing, we study something, so there should not be any interruption. What do we study? So again, something from biblical tradition, and something from which is the written law, and something from the Mishnah, the oral law. From the written law, all the verses, it picks the verses of the priestly blessing. Why? We want to bring blessing to our day, but more so because the priestly blessing symbolizes that we're here, each of us, as I said earlier, as priests, and we're here to bless. Our job is to bring blessing to the world. That's our job. Every day, at the end of the day, we have to say, what blessing did I bring my family today? What blessing did I give my children today? What blessing did I bring into the lives of my community today? What blessing did I give the world today? Have I given the world a blessing in some way? What good deed did I do today? So the priestly blessing is one section. And the next section is a section of the Mishnah that talks about deeds, talks about honoring our parents, and it talks about taking care of the dead and taking care of those in need. So it's all about, again, our actions that are needed to do good deeds, and a reminder that Judaism is also God gave us a Torah, but it's not to remain theoretical. We're supposed to put it into action. So to say I studied, I know a lot of stuff, but I don't do it. I don't live that way. I'm not putting into practice. Of course, it's not the intention. So I'll take some questions. This is just, again, it's not every detail, but just a little summary of what a morning could look like, and we can pick and choose and start with whatever we can, and some of us might be doing more than this already, but these are some of the things and the attitudes that we use and things that we do to get us on the right footing in the morning, to get us on the right, to get us started in the right way. So if anyone has any questions or comments, this would be a good time.
I have a question, Rabbi.
Sure.
So you say the Modeh Ani in the morning,
Mm-hmm.
and then we wash our hands.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
There's no blessing with the hand washing, correct? Right.
So there are two hand washings that are done. If we want to get very specific about it, there's one that you do right when you wake up, right after the Modeh Ani. And then there's another one that you would do after you've washed up and after you've gotten dressed and you've come downstairs and you're kind of getting ready to start your morning blessings. You do another hand washing. And the reason is because you've just showered, you've just gotten dressed. And so you wash your hands again. And when you do that second hand washing, there is a blessing that you make on that hand washing, which is the Al Natilat Yadayim, the same blessing you would make after you wash before you eat bread. Okay. And then in the Siddur, it says before that, to say the Modeh Ani, you don't say the Modeh Ani again with your prayer, do you? No, okay. No, it's only done once. Only done once in your bed. Okay, great. Thank you. Sure. Any other questions?
I do.
Sure.
Hi, Rabbi.
Hi.
I was curious. So, all right, after you say you do the ritual hand washing with no prayer, then you said you get ready for your day, and then you do the washing with the prayer when you're downstairs, like before your
so you would come, because that prayer, you really, when you think about sinks where you would wash your hands. It's either in your bathroom or in your kitchen usually. And you don't want to do the blessings in the bathroom. It's just not appropriate to be addressing God in the bathroom. So that's why I tell people the second hand washing usually is when you've come down, or I don't know, if your bedroom's on the same floor, it's not downstairs, but when you come into the kitchen, and because of course you got to get your coffee ready, but as you're doing that, you do your hand washing and do some morning blessings, and then you can have your coffee, and then you may want to do more prayers and everything, but we try to do at least these basic prayers before we eat or drink anything in the morning, just a few basic prayers in the morning.
So all the prayers you just mentioned would be before coffee.
It would be best, yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Now,
some addicts may struggle with that and may not be able to, but that's okay. If they can't, they can't. It's you do the best you can.
but they're all done like at home before, say for you,
Correct.
you would go to shul in the
Correct.
morning, you would do
Yeah,
all
absolutely.
of
Those should be done at home.
Okay.
Those should all be done at home.
Okay. Thank you.
Sure. Okay. Any other questions? Okay, I want to thank everyone for participating and joining. I hope you enjoyed it. Next week is the next section. I haven't looked up what it is, but I'm sure it's going to be interesting, going to be fun. And again, the laws, traditions, and the deeper meaning. Why do we do these things? What's the meaning behind them? How do they relate to us in our lives today? And we'll do that next Wednesday night at 7:30. So everyone have a wonderful rest of your week and lots of success. And hopefully you'll all get up like lions tomorrow morning. Take it easy.
Thank you.
Thank you, Rabbi.
Sure.